Welcome back, Sus23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have for you something special, the Grambeau Knives Assetto. These are prototypes that were sent to me by Grambeau Knives, and I was made aware of Grambeau Knives thanks to Pete from Cedric and Ada and Outdoors. He is from Australia, and so is Grambeau Knives. So he put me on their radar, and I got in on the pre-order for this one. The pre-order is still live as of the taping of this video, and when you go to if you decide to get one of these, when you go there, the price is in Australian, so it's 380 Australian, so that comes out to about 280, 290 US. So let's get some specs so you can have an idea of the size of the knife. You have an overall length of 7.59 inches. You have a blade length of 3.24 inches. You have a grip area from here to here of 3.5 inches. And if you want to go all the way to the back, you have about 4 inches of grip area. And your handle scale thickness is around 0.58, but that will change a little bit because one of the changes that are going to be made to these prototypes are they're going to be thinned out a little bit and they're going to be lightened up a hair. Your width, the closed width in the pocket from this point to here is 1.24 inches, and the behind the edge thickness on this particular knife is around 15 thousandths at the thinnest and 19 thousandths back here at the thickest. The only other change that I know that is supposed to be made is besides the handle scales being thinned out and lighter, making the whole knife a little bit lighter, they are going to change these T6 to T8, so you'll have T8 hardware throughout the entire knife. Love seeing that. Can't stand no small T6 strippable screws there. All right, we're going to mainly just look at this one. I'll bring this one in from time to time, but I did a little bit of cutting, and I used this one. I didn't do a whole lot because they're prototypes, and I didn't want to, put any scratches on the blade or anything. So let's take a close look at this. You have this very attractive, in my opinion, clip point blade here with a nice little contrast with the satin swedge. You see up there, you have that satin long swedge right there, and then your flats and your primary bevel have a very nice stonewash finish on it, so it gives it a really nice contrast effect in different lights. Love that. It really shows you the grinds. Very, very nice. You have a very needle-like point for piercing. You're not going to want to put this into anything hard and twist or anything. You could possibly snap that off. The blade on this is made of Bowler M390, which is a high edge retention stainless steel, one of your super steels. Excellent, excellent steel. Great for a folding knife. You have a sharpening notch right here that does clear that plunge, and you should have a couple of sharpenings before it widens up in the back, because the grind is going to start to thicken up a little bit over time. And speaking of grinds, you have a nice deep hollow grind on here, so this thing comes down to a nice thin edge. It was slicing very well, and like I said, the limited slicing I did with it did really, really well. I wasn't really worried about the M390 because I've tested a lot of Best Tech's M390 and they seem to do a really, really good job with it. You do have somewhat of a thumb ramp right there. There is no jimping for the spine, but that thumb ramp gives you a nice platform to put your thumb down and gives you some stability if you're trying to put some force down with that thumb. You have a nice spot right there, and you can put a lot more pressure down on that blade. All right, let's move on to the deployment. Close it up. As you can see, this is a front flipper design, and it's a well-designed front flipper. I'm not a huge front flipper fan, but I like this one enough to pre-order it. You do have some fine cut jimping that wraps around that little point right there, which a lot of people fail to do. So it easily grabs a hold of that thumb, and you just kind of pull your finger back. You can do the little index finger rock, and can you do the? Yeah, you can do the front. The reach around with the bolster lock one, it may be a little bit difficult. Let's see, it's difficult because my finger wants to be on that lock bar. If you can manage to keep your finger off of it, you could probably do it with that one as well. It is riding on ceramic cage bearings. It has a very smooth action. It's not a drop shut, but a couple of, minimal shakes and it'll go to its home. The detent's well dialed in. It's a ceramic detent riding on cage ceramic ball bearings. So the action is on point and nice and smooth. I'm not even, like I said, a huge front flipper fan, but this one looks so nice, and I'm glad I was able to get it in hand so I can know that it is nice, not just for looks. Let's close it up and look at these scales. I love this look. You have the black canvas micarta, and it's like the Americanized type micarta that you see on, like, say, these Flytaniums. It's the same type of micarta. The scales have been contoured nicely, and you have a titanium bolster right here and a titanium bolster lock. You do have the Grambo written right here. I like that. It's kind of like, the Sabenza, how they do that right there. Very nicely done there. I love the texture on the micarta. They didn't polish it, so you got a nice, grab to the finger. And the transition between the scale and the bolster, seamless. Closing my eyes, can't feel it whatsoever. Very nicely done there. Like I said, those will be T8 on throughout the entire knife. Titanium backspacer, and I love how he didn't break up the lines by putting a hole in it for a lanyard hole. But they did put a lanyard post. That's perfectly fine. And it's integrated in between the backspacer, the titanium backspacer. That's about halfway to the knife. Flip it over on this side. You can see you have a milled titanium pocket clip. It functions really well. You don't have a ton of space underneath there, but it got in and out of my jeans just fine. So I guess if you wear really thick pants, that may be an issue for you. But the spring on it's really good. It's not overly tight, but it will hold it in the pocket really well. Let's check it out in the pocket. Alrighty, so it goes in nicely. Like I said, it goes down. That's what you have sticking out. So you have something to grab a hold to. If you don't like anything sticking out, then maybe you can find a backup clip that's deep carry. I don't know. I don't mind that. Pull it out. The minimal cutting that I did put some pressure onto the knife to see how it was going to feel in hand. Those contoured scales fit nicely in the hand. The clip stays out of the way. It felt good here. I felt like I had a lot of control, but in that hammer grip, it felt even better. And that's where I did most of the cutting that I did with the knife. This is a titanium bolster lock. As you can see, the lockup on this one is sitting around 30% and absolutely no play any direction whatsoever. Very nicely done. Bestech does a great job with their lock geometries. You do have a stainless steel lock bar insert, and that's always a nice thing. If something were to happen, they could change that out for you. The access to the lock bar is very nice on this one. It's kind of a little different. As you can see, this little hump comes up right there, and you have a chamfer on both sides. So once again, I just use that side of my finger, and it's very comfortable for me. That's just second nature. If you're ever having problems getting your thumb in there, it's uncomfortable, try this portion of your finger and just slide on there. It's a lot more comfortable, at least in my opinion. That's my go-to method. I don't even think twice now. That's just the way I do it because a lot of lock bars aren't accessible. But if you don't like that way, it's easy to do with the tip of your thumb. No problem. It is a little further down than I'm used to. I'm used to it being, a little bit up right there, but, not a problem. I adjusted to it rather quickly, and it's, definitely a fidgety knife if that's what you buy knives for. I buy them to fidget and to cut with, so. Size comparison, Spyderco PM2 and Power 3. Power 3 is almost identical in length. Power 3 is just a hair shorter. We have the Hogue Ritter RSK large and small. It's about in between those two. And lastly, we have the Ontario Rat Model 1, Rat Model 2. It's in between those as well. We're going to get a quick weight on both of them. It's going to get a little bit lighter. 85 grams on this one, and 103 grams on the all-tie one. Let's go to ounces, and you have 3 ounces on this one and 3.6 ounces on this one. So yeah, you're saving about a half ounce, and it definitely shows. That's one thing also I want to talk about between the two of these. if you're looking for a nice lightweight, EDC blade, this one feels very, very light in hand. It's well balanced. It's right here at the transition right there. This one, you definitely feel the extra weight, and it could be a little bit more slippery because you don't have a lot of texture here. You do get a good bit of texture from the micarta. So that was mainly why I chose the micarta one, and I thought it looked aesthetically more pleasing. But this one right here would give you a lot more room for mod work if you wanted to do your own anodization, make the knife yours. So, just got to depend on what you are looking for. And plus, with like I said before, with the bolster lock, you don't have to worry about getting your finger on that lock bar when you're front flipping it. I hadn't had the issue, but depending on how big your hands are, that could be an issue. There's enough clip. That's where I usually put my fingers whenever there is a front flipper, so I don't put too much pressure on the lock. All right, nitpicks and complaints. I had to really be critical, but I really didn't, because the only thing really that I would have liked to see changed is the hardware. He's already changing that to T8, so excellent job there. And I don't know, maybe possibly going up a little bit to give you a little bit more sharpening life, but I haven't sharpened this, so it could be, you could be fine, but you could, I don't know if you can see this. Let's see. It's gonna start thickening up back here. Now it's a hollow grind, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. So I don't really know if that's an issue. So we're gonna call it maybe a nitpick there. As far as thinning it out and making it lighter for this one, I don't really see it to be a problem. I think it's very well balanced in the hand. It feels much lighter than it actually is. 3 ounces is super light. Now, I can understand it on this one because there is a considerable weight difference. I didn't show this earlier, but you don't see this that often. Usually whenever you have a bolster, like a titanium bolster, and being that this is thinned out like it is, you usually don't see any internal milling. But look at this. That is I was like, how is this thing so light? Because it even has a pretty big titanium backspacer, and there you go. It's milled on the top and bottom, keeping the weight down. So weight on this one, like I said, is totally fine with me. This one, I get it. It definitely feels like a chunkier knife, but in the same token, you're going with an all titanium knife. I kind of think you should leave it like that. It has internal milling in this one as well, just like the other one, except it's not going to go all the way through because it is an all titanium frame. So my overall thoughts on the value, I'll be honest, I'm on like 6 or 7 pre-orders right now, and these are definitely competitive, especially if you look at all the extra work. I mean, you got Bowler M390, so you had that upper tier steel. I don't know if I said this in the beginning. If I didn't, I apologize. These are OEM'd by Bestech, and Bestech does some amazing job, especially on their OEM work. So the quality is definitely there. You could see all the little details where they knock down all the little corners. You even have a chamfer all along here. There's a chamfer right here. The edges are all softened to where there's no sharp spots. So there's a lot of work, a lot of milling that goes into these knives. You even have, I don't know if it'll come across on the camera, but there's a very slight, faint micro milling on the clip, which I love. So I see a lot of work into them, and at $280, $290, I thought they were definitely worth it. It feels like a much more expensive custom knife, especially this one. For me, not so much this one, just because of the plain titanium scales, but there's a lot of custom knives that are just like this. But this seems like a more dressier style knife, and with this style blade, I just think it fits, very, very, very nicely with the design. So that's just my overall pick. I still am glad I picked this one over the other one, but I have another Grambo knife coming up. I don't know if it'll be coming out tomorrow or, a couple of days following, but I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do And I got to decide, am I going to get on that pre-order as well? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.